The night air over Blackwood territory was cold and still when Elena Voss walked through the front gates for the first time in 5 years. She did not come as a broken woman. She came as an alpha, tall and steady, her boots pressing firm marks into the frost-covered ground. Beside her walked a small boy with dark hair and sharp golden eyes, holding her hand without fear, as if he already understood that this land, in some strange way, belonged to him. The guards at the gate froze when they saw her face. Word spread through the packhouse faster than fire through dry grass. By the time Elena reached the front steps of the grand hall, half the pack had gathered in the courtyard, whispering her name like something out of an old story. 5 years ago, she had been rejected in this very courtyard. She remembered every second of it. The cold morning air, the silence of the crowd, and Damian Blackwood, the Alpha King, standing tall in his ceremonial coat, speaking the words that shattered her world forever. I reject you as my mate. No explanation, no apology. Just 4 words that tore through her heart and her wolf at the same time. She remembered the way her knees had given out, the way the bond between them had ripped apart like fabric torn by force, leaving a wound that never fully healed. She had left that same night, alone, carrying a secret she did not yet know she carried. Now she stood in that same courtyard, not as the girl who had been broken, but as the woman who had rebuilt herself into someone unbreakable. Inside the grand hall, Damian sat on his throne, going over reports with his beta when the doors burst open. A guard entered, out of breath, his face pale. "My king," he said, "Elena Voss has returned. She is here, at the gates, with a child." Damian's pen stopped moving. For a moment, the room seemed to lose all sound. He had heard her name whispered in pack meetings before, rumors of a young alpha woman who had built a strong, independent pack in the Northern Territories. He had told himself it could not be her. He had told himself many things over the years to keep himself from thinking about the woman he had once called his mate. But hearing her name now, spoken aloud in his own hall, felt like a blow to the chest. "Bring her in," he said quietly. When Elena walked into the hall, the room fell silent. She looked different, stronger. Her posture radiated authority, the kind that came not from a title given by birth, but from years of hard-earned respect. Beside her, the boy walked with quiet confidence, his eyes taking in every detail of the hall, unafraid. Damian rose from his throne without thinking. His eyes moved from Elena's face to the boy beside her, and something inside him went very still. The boy's eyes were his own. The shape of his jaw, the way he held his shoulders, the faint golden shimmer in his gaze that only ran in the Blackwood bloodline. Damian's breath caught in his throat. "Elena," he said, his voice rough. "Who is this?" Elena did not flinch. She had promised herself long ago that she would never let this man see her break again. "This is Kalen," she said simply, "my son." The silence in the hall stretched unbearably long. Somewhere near the back, someone gasped. Damian's beta shifted uncomfortably. And Damian himself stood frozen, staring at the boy as the truth settled over him like a physical weight. "Our son," he said quietly, the words barely more than a whisper. Elena's jaw tightened. "You lost the right to say our, the day you rejected me in front of your entire pack." Her words cut through the air sharply, and Damian said nothing, because there was nothing he could say. He deserved every bit of the coldness in her voice. At that moment, the doors at the side of the hall opened, and Serafina Cole, Damian's wife, walked in. She had heard the commotion and come to see what was happening. When her eyes landed on Elena, then on the boy, her expression shifted from confusion to something colder. "What is the meaning of this?" Serafina asked, her voice sharp. Damian did not answer. He could not look away from Kalen. Elena turned to Serafina, her tone calm and controlled. "I am not here to disrupt your life," she said. "I came because my pack requires a trade agreement with Blackwood territory, and as Alpha, that duty falls to me. I did not expect Damian to be here. I did not plan for this meeting to happen at all. But plans, as Elena had learned long ago, rarely stayed intact once fate decided to interfere. That night, after the formal introductions and tense negotiations, Elena retreated to the guest quarters with Kalen. She tucked him into bed, running her fingers gently through his hair as he drifted to sleep. She thought of the years she had spent alone, building her pack from nothing, proving to herself and everyone around her that she did not need Damian Blackwood to survive. She had done it. She had built strength out of heartbreak. And yet, seeing him again, feeling the pull of the bond stir faintly beneath her skin despite everything, reminded her that some wounds never truly closed. They only learned to stay quiet. Meanwhile, in his private study, Damian sat alone, with his head in his hands. For 5 years, he had felt something missing inside him, a hollowness he could never explain. The pack healers called it mate rejection sickness, a slow weakening that came from breaking a true bond. He had ignored their warnings, buried himself in duty, and told himself the ache would fade with time. It never had. Now, learning that his rejected mate had returned with his son, the weight of what he had done crushed him fully for the first time. He had chosen political duty over love, believing it would make him a stronger king. Instead, it had made him weaker in every way that mattered. Serafina found him there, staring blankly at the fire. "You need to send them away," she said firmly. "Before this becomes a scandal that destroys everything we've built." Damian looked up at her, his eyes tired. "That boy is my son, Serafina. I cannot pretend he doesn't exist." "You rejected her," Serafina snapped. "You chose me. You chose this pack, this alliance. Don't let one visit undo years of stability." But stability, Damian realized, had always been an illusion. Their marriage had never produced pups, and the pack elders had begun whispering about weak bonds and failing lines. Blackwood territory was strong on the surface, but cracks had been forming for years, cracks that Serafina's position depended on hiding. Over the following days, tension grew heavier across the pack house. Elena stayed only to complete the trade negotiations, keeping her distance from Damian as much as possible. But Kaelin, curious and fearless as any child his age, wandered the grounds and often found himself near the training yards, where warriors sparred and pack members went about their duties. It was during one of these moments that his wolf stirred unexpectedly. A group of warriors from a rival pack, present for a separate diplomatic visit, noticed the boy watching the training with sharp interest. One of them, testing the limits of pack law, and perhaps sensing weakness in Blackwood's uncertain leadership, approached Kaelin with a mocking challenge, unaware of exactly who the child was. What happened next stunned everyone present. Kaelin's small body trembled, and for a brief moment, a golden light flared beneath his skin, the unmistakable sign of an early wolf shift, something that should not happen in a child his age. His wolf, powerful and unrefined, pushed against his human form with startling strength, a clear sign of rare alpha bloodline power passed down directly from Damian's line. Guards rushed forward. Elena, sensing danger through the fragile thread of a mother's instinct, arrived within seconds, gathering Kaelin into her arms and calming him with soft, practiced words. But it was too late to hide what had happened. Word spread through the pack immediately. The Alpha King's son was no ordinary child. He carried the mark of true alpha blood, stronger even than expected for his age. For rival packs watching Blackwood's uncertain future, this revelation changed everything. A powerful, unclaimed heir meant vulnerability, an opportunity to challenge Damian's rule before the boy could grow into his strength. Within a day, formal challenges began arriving, packs testing the waters, sensing division within Blackwood's walls. Damian found himself facing the first real challenge to his throne in years, not because his warriors were weak, but because his personal life had become a visible crack in his authority. The pack could forgive many things, but not a king who denied his own blood, and not a king whose bond sickness left him vulnerable in the eyes of his enemies. That evening, Damian went to Elena's quarters, something he had avoided doing since her arrival. He found her sitting by the window, watching over Kaelin as he slept. "I know you don't owe me anything," Damian said quietly, "but the pack is not safe right now. Rival packs see an opportunity, and if they succeed, it won't just be my throne at risk. It will be Kaelin's future too." Elena studied him carefully, searching for any sign of the man who had once broken her so completely. What she found instead was someone tired, someone who had spent years carrying the weight of a mistake he could not undo. "I did not come here to save your throne, Damian," she said. "I know," he replied, but I am asking you to help me protect our son." The word "our" landed differently this time, softer, more sincere. Elena felt something shift inside her chest, a crack in the wall she had built so carefully over the years. The following days brought difficult decisions. Pack law was clear regarding rejected mates who returned with proof of a shared child. The Alpha King was required to either fully renounce his bond claim forever, releasing Elena and Kaelin from any tie to Blackwood territory, or formally reclaim the bond, accepting all consequences that came with it, including the dissolution of his current marriage. Serafina, sensing her position slipping away, attempted one final move. She spread rumors questioning Kaelin's true parentage, hoping to create enough doubt to protect her place as Damien's wife. But Pack elders, skilled in the old ways, performed a simple blood ritual before the full council, one that could not be faked or manipulated. The results confirmed without question that Kaelin was Damien's son, and more than that, they confirmed something even more significant. The bond between Damien and Elena, though rejected, had never truly been broken. Rejected bonds could fade over time if left alone, but this one remained intact, waiting, patient, as if some part of them had always known this reunion would happen. Serafina's manipulation was exposed before the entire council. Her attempt to hide the truth for her own benefit, combined with growing evidence of her role in weakening Pack unity through years of political maneuvering, left her position impossible to defend. The elders stripped her title, and she was quietly escorted from Blackwood territory the same week, her ambitions unraveling as quickly as they had once seemed secure. With the succession crisis reaching its peak, rival packs pressed harder, hoping chaos within Blackwood's walls would weaken Damien enough to challenge him directly. Refor, a formal challenge was called, testing not just Damien's strength as a warrior, but the strength and unity of his entire pack. Elena, though under no obligation, chose to stand beside Damien during the challenge, not out of loyalty to him, but because Kaelin's future was now tied to this moment, whether she liked it or not. Her presence, calm and powerful, reminded the gathered packs that Blackwood was not weak. It was protected by not one strong alpha, but two. During the challenge, Damien fought with a strength he had not felt in years, the ache that had haunted him for so long finally easing as the truth between him and Elena settled into place. When the challenge ended in his favor, the pack roared with approval, not simply because their king had won, but because they had witnessed something rare, a broken bond mending itself in real time. That night, beneath the same sky where he had once rejected her, Damien knelt before Elena, in front of the gathered pack. "I was wrong," he said, his voice steady and clear enough for everyone to hear. "I let fear and duty convince me that rejecting you would make me stronger. It only made me weaker, and it cost us 5 years I can never get back. I am asking you now, not as a king demanding loyalty, but as a man who understands what he lost. Will you allow me to reclaim this bond, fully and completely, with nothing hidden and nothing forced?" Elena looked at him for a long moment, then glanced down at Kaelin, who watched with wide, hopeful eyes. She thought of the years of pain, the strength she had built alone, and the son she had raised with quiet courage. She thought of second chances, and how rare it was for someone to truly earn one. "You will have to prove it," she said finally, "not with words, with time." Damien nodded, understanding fully what those words meant. In the months that followed, Damien worked to rebuild not just his bond with Elena, but the trust that had been broken so completely years before. He did not rush her forgiveness, or expect it freely given. Instead, he showed up every day, choosing her and Kaelin without condition, exactly as pack law and his own heart demanded. Elena's pack merged peacefully with Blackwood territory, strengthening both sides and silencing any remaining doubts among the elders. Kaelin grew under the guidance of both his parents, his rare strength nurtured with patience rather than pressure, preparing him for a future that once seemed impossible. And slowly, carefully, the bond that had once been shattered in a cold courtyard began to heal, not because fate demanded it, but because two people finally chose each other, fully and without hesitation, for the first time in their lives.